In this module, we shall discuss about the public sector. Since independence, India has adopted the policy of growth with social justice within the democratic political framework. India adopted a mixed economic framework. This implied the existence of both the private sector and the public sector. The private sector will operate in those areas where profitability is high, whereas the public sector will operate in areas where there is less profitability and the gestation period is very high, and where the price of the goods and services are important for the economy. For example, in the infrastructure sector. Thus, the public sector was visualized as a permanent feature of planned economic development, features of planned economic development. As per the second Industrial Policy Resolution of 1956, the industries were divided into the following three categories. First, this includes 17 industries. Their future development was to be the exclusive responsibility of the state. Thus, the industries in this category were heavy, basic and strategic industries, which are highly capital intensive like railways, iron and steel, etc. Second, this includes 12 industries which are mixed in nature, that is both public and private. For example, road and sea transport, machine tools, fertilizers, etc. Third, this includes all other industries which are not included in the above categories. Thus, the objectives of public sector in India were to promote rapid economic development, to generate financial resources for the development, to reduce the inequalities in income and wealth, to create employment opportunities, to promote balanced regional growth, to promote exports and import substitution. After starting this module, you shall be able to know about the role of the public sector units PSUs in India, learn about the importance of the PSUs, evaluate the performance of the PSUs in India. Let us now discuss the role of public sector in India. The public sector played a crucial role in development. This is shown by the following indicators. Share of public sector in employment. The total number of workers employed in the public sector grew from a small number with 111 lakhs to 182 lakhs in the period 1911-2007. The public sector employs 65.9% of the workers employed in organized sector. Share of public sector in gross domestic product. The share has shown an upward trend. The public sector accounted for 7.5% of GDP in 1950-51. It increased to 20.5% of GDP in 2007-8. Thus, the public sector accounts for about 1/4 of national output. Share of public sector in infrastructure development. The infrastructure and development is very important for a developing country. It includes the development of transport sector, communication and power sector, basic key industries, etc. These infrastructure sectors involves heavy investments, low yield, thus these industries did not attract private sector. Thus, the development of these industries were done by the public sector. The public sector also contributed to the making of a strong industrial base. Share of public sector in export and import. The public sector achieved a big amount of success in increase the export of Indian handicrafts, light engineering goods, etc. For example, Hindustan Steel, etc., the Bharat Electronics Limited, etc. are exporting, increasing proportion of their output. The foreign exchange earning of the public sector has risen from rupees 35 crores in 1965-66 to rupees 43,576 crores in 2005-2006. As far as imports are concerned, many public sector units are producing goods that are substituting imports. Mobilization of savings. Public sector played a very significant role in collecting savings and investing them in public sector units. During the first and second plans, 54% of the total investment was in the public sector. The share of public sector rose to 60% in the third plans. For example, the Nationalized Bank, State Bank of India, Industrial Development Bank of India (IDBI), Industrial Finance Corporation of India, State Financial Corporation, LIC, UTI, etc. have played an important role in collecting savings and in mobilization of resources. Support to the consumer goods industries. The public sector performed a big role in supporting the consumer goods industries by inviting in heavy and basic industries. Prevention of concentration of economic power. The public sector helped to prevent the concentration of economic power by providing higher wage level to its employees. Next, we will move on to discuss the performance of public sector in India. The performance by public sector in India is to be seen as the contribution made by public sector in the social and economic development of the country. It would be unfair to judge their performance by looking at their profits alone. It will be meaningful if we judge their performance by the following indicators. Looking at the net profit after tax rupees measure of performance, it is found that the central public sector units started yielding positive net profit after tax only after 1981-82, almost 3 decades after the independence. The net profit increased from rupees 50 crores in 1981-82 to about rupees 13,582 crores in 1997-98. It further increased to rupees 68,952 crores in 2008-9. Looking at the contribution of public sector in welfare. It is one of the most important contribution made by the public sector. The real wage per employee in the public sector units increased from rupees 28,820 in 1986-87 to rupees 78,684 in 2008-9, thus employing an annual growth rate of 4.7% during this period. Also, the index of growth in real emoluments increased from 100 to 374 during the period 1986-87 to 2008-2009. Moreover, the employees were given benefits in terms of maintenance of houses, educational facilities, medical care, etc. The performance can be seen by looking at the rehabilitator role provided by public sector. As an index of social responsibility, the public sector acted as an orphanage for the sick units of the private sector. This is especially for the textile mills. The 1.6 lakhs employees were saved and given employment in the public sector. Also, it can be seen by looking at the foreign exchange earnings, as many handicraft, leather goods, engineering goods have been exported and earned foreign exchange in the past. To strengthen it, many places, for example, like drugs manufacturing in India has saved foreign exchange. Moving on to discuss the problems of public sector. We saw in the last section the performance of the public sector in India, but we can't deny that the public sector is facing many problems. There is a need for the public sector to improve its efficiency. We can see the problems faced by the public sector units by looking at the following points. First, mounting losses. The PSU have shown a net profit of rupees 81,550 crore in 2006-07 against a loss of rupees 203 crore in 1980-81. But a point to be noted is that the performance is contributed mainly by the petroleum industries. So, the other PCU have made profits. In 1999-2000, the total losses were rupees 10,302 crore, and in 2006-07, the total losses were reduced to rupees 8,223 crore. These figures show a better performance over the years, but the losses are still positive and large. Hence, there is need for these PSUs to work efficiently and convert themselves into profit-making units. Second, price policy. The problem of PSUs is that their prices are administered and hence they are not driven by profit motive, as their existence is based on the welfare of the people and not on the revenue earned. Third, underutilization of resources. It is generally found that the installed capacity is large and it is not being used. Large number of enterprises are working below their full capacity ladder. During 2005 and 6, out of 203 units, 103 units had recorded capacity utilization of more than 75%. Also, there were 33 PSU which operated in the capacity utilization range of 50 to 75% and 67 units functioned below 50% of total capacity. Fourth, delays in completion and increased cost of construction. It has been found that many of the projects took more time to complete than their scheduled time. This leads to an increase in the cost of construction. Hence, efforts are required to finish the project in time. It has been found that the PSU are using more manpower than is required, to say that there is poor planning resources in the PSUs. Also, the location of a PSU is guided not by economic factors alone. It is the political factors that affect their location. Thus, to finally say that the PSU can be turned into more efficient units by having a better planning. Next, we will discuss the special status. The Government of India announced in 1991 the new industrial policy. This was through to improve the performance of the public sector. It provides a new approach to public enterprises. The public enterprises were given measures to make themselves more growth oriented and technically dynamic. The SIC PSU were to be referred to the Board for Industrial and Financial Reconstruction BIFR. Those units which showed negative profit margins were to be privatized. The government called this disinvestment. In 1991-92, the government disinvested up to 20% of equity in selected PSUs only for following 6 units, viz. First, mineral oils. Second, atomic energy. Third, coal and light. Fourth, arms, ammunition and defense equipment. Fifth, radioactive minerals. And last, railway transport. The Rangarajan Committee 1993 recommended holding of 51% or more equity by the government. The prestigious PSU were given special status, that is, those units which were performing very well. Enterprises were called as Maharatna, Navratna and Mini Ratna by the Department of Public Enterprises. These titles provide them greater autonomy to compete in the global market. The first is Maharatna. A company qualifying for the Maharatna status should have an average annual turnover of rupees 20,000 crores during the last 3 years. The average annual net worth of the company should be rupees 10,000 crores. The coveted status empowers the board of firms to take to investment decision up to rupees 5,000 crores as against the present rupees 1,000 crore limit without seeking government approval. The Maharatna firms will now be free to decide on investments up to 15% of their net worth in a project, limited to an absolute ceiling of rupees 5,000 crores. The second is Navratna. to get this status, the public sector enterprises must have at least 3 excellent or very good memorandum of understanding. The Navratna status empowers the public sector enterprises to invest up to rupees 1000 crores or 15% their net worth on 6000 single project without seeking government approval. They also enjoy the freedom to enter joint ventures, form alliances and subsidiaries abroad. The last is Mini Ratna. They are divided into 2 categories as under. The first category, category 1. Status is given to those who have made profit in the last 3 years continuously. Also, the pre-tax profit should be rupees 30 crores or more in at least one of the last 3 years and positive net worth. The second category, category 2. Status will be given to those who have made profit for the last 3 years continuously and a positive net worth. Mini Ratnas can enter into joint ventures, set subsidiary companies, overseas offices, but with certain conditions. The designation applies to PSUs that have made profit for the last 3 years or earned a net profit of rupees 30 crores or more in one of the last 3 years. Now, we will summarize what we have discussed in this module. India, after the independence, adopted the mixed economic planning module of the economy. The public sector would be given an important role of developing those sectors where the growth is very essential and or where the private sector cannot enter. Thus, the public sector was used to develop the infrastructure base of India. On the other hand, the private sector would be guided solely by the profit motive. The industrial policy of 1954 clearly specified the roles played by the public and private sectors. The contribution of public sector since independence in India is very large in terms of its share in employment generated, wages distributed, infrastructure development, foreign exchange earnings and the gross domestic product. However, performance of the public depends on the judgment criterion. Profits are not the only criterion. There are other criteria like social welfare, regional disparities, etc., which assume importance. But still, it is found out that few public sector enterprises were in losses. So, in 1991, when the reforms took place, the industrial policy was changed. The PSU were divested and only 6 PSU were not divested. The PSUs which were making profit were given special status. The PSUs that were efficient were given titles Maharatna, Navratna and Mini Ratna. This was done to encourage the public sector enterprises.